My Christmas rocket was not great. So, how did we get here? Wow, I wonder if I could make something like that. Let me check my bank in. Whoa. Okay. How about something small? Okay, so it's one of the weirdest rockets I would have ever built, and it's questionable if it would even work and or be safe. And we're doing it. Okay, so I was feeling a bit inspired and I wanted to make a Christmas tree rocket. However, a real tree and something like an L1000 or more powerful is a little expensive for me. Since I couldn't afford to do that, I still wanted to make something small just for fun. So I did. I wanted to make something that looked like a tree, but still easy to manufacture or specifically 3D print. So I went with the design we all drew as a kid, a couple triangles stacked on top of each other. On the trunk of the tree, I made some basic rectangular fins, and you can notice that OpenRocket is quoting a very low caliber of stability. This is concerning, but can you still make odd rockets and get away with it? Yeah, kinda. There's an entire category of model rocket building, aptly called oddrocs, and people make all sorts of interesting designs, from spools to monocopters. Of course, aerodynamics are really funky here, so this caliber of stability is not really accurate. We instead rely on the percentage here, which is approximately a different representation of the same calculations. We want this to be in the range of 8 to 18%, generally speaking, and we're actually doing all right. The high-performance brain rot people don't want you to know this, but rockets don't actually have to be optimized. I went ahead and printed out the fins. However, I was still worried about their stability, so I redesigned them to be more interesting looking. Moving the fin shape made the number go up. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't put a lot of effort into this. Anyways, I reprinted the bottom section and went ahead with assembly. And remember when I said I put no effort in? Don't judge. I modeled the pieces in SolidWorks, and instead of taking me 2 seconds to put them together in an assembly to make screw holes for these to, fit together nicely, I just put them together and just drilled through the wall. I made a small hole in the top of the tree so that I could wrap the lights around the tree in a spiral, and then I used dots of hot glue to hold them in place. Once I was satisfied, I cut off the rest. Now, why did I make the lights go out the top? I don't know, I didn't really think about it. Again, no effort. Well, wait, I actually did think about it because I made sure that the parachute line got taut before the lights so that the lights wouldn't carry the load. But, I just kind of did it. With all that done, we have a lovely Christmas tree. Christmas. That's what I named it.
Happy Christmas.
Okay, so the idea was to launch it at sunset so you can clearly see the rocket go up with nice lighting. You can see the lights all the way up and all the way down. Easy as. There was literally perfect weather on the first day that I could have launched this. However, I felt ill all day and missed the opportunity. 2 days later, I went out to send it despite the clouds. I did make sure that we'd stay under them, and we did. Frankly, though, the weather was only going to get worse, so I might as well have just taken the opportunity. I setting the RunCam 5 out on a pole to get a wide view of the liftoff, and then I sent this smaller cheap camera that I previously launched on my L1 flight right up under the launch pad, trying to get it as close as possible to that rocket motor. I set up the rocket in traditional low power fashion on a standard Estes low power pad, and I sent it on an F-15. No, an F-15. Okay, so it went up, and there was a big puff of smoke, sparks, and fire from the ejection charge, and I saw a dark part of the rocket go drifting off under parachute really fast in the wind with the parachute. But me and my sibling tracked the rocket all the way to its landing because of the lights, all the way to the field in the southeast, which is the direction it pitched over in due to the winds. We came back the next morning and found it standing upright, stuck in the mud, right where we had seen it falling. Okay, so that's the bottom part found, but it had no batteries. Like, the battery package and light control was just gone. So how did it have the lights on all the way until landing if it was probably shot out by the ejection charge? Okay, enough. Looking downwind, a couple thousand feet, we found the top and middle parts having gotten a gentle ride down from the parachute, landing in an adjacent field. So, what happened? It sheared. Motor retention was done by the middle section with a hole just a bit smaller than the motor so that the ejection charge could go through and fire the top off. However, when the ejection charge went off, it sheared 2 layers of the middle section. The battery carrier probably got catapulted out, shearing the light cables in several places, and it was never seen again. Now, the big question. Would I do something like this again? Probably not. I mean, I will probably build more oddrocs, and it's not because this was bad or anything. It was hilarious, but I've done it, and I don't know how I could do it again any differently. Maybe next year I can buy a smaller sized real tree and strap an L1000 to it, but until then I can't really afford that. If you'd like to contribute to something like that, I will leave my Patreon in the description. Any donations are welcomed, and there's not a lot of perks right now, but I'm working on it. There's no obligation either. I know in this day and age everyone is asking you to pay a subscription to something, and you absolutely do not have to, but it would fund projects like this. If you do not wish to, I understand that. No hard feelings. If you could at least take a second to engage with the video, leave a like or a comment with a Christmas tree emoji to represent what's left of Christmas. I am very much trying to grow this channel, so any help in doing so is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.